Hey y'all, what's up? This is Perry with Premier Guitar. I'm here in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the Tivoli Theater. Tivoli, we couldn't decide if it was Tivoli or Tivoli, but it's definitely Tivoli Theater and it's gorgeous. Here with the man, Jason Isbell.
Hello.
This guy is gonna take some time and show us his guitars. We're so excited about it. I know you've been busy. We just saw you at the Ryman a couple times. It was
that
wonderful.
was incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible run.
So ever since that show, I've been really scoping out your gear. I've been dying to know what you got going on. So.
Well, I watch all these, so I'm really excited.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
I'm a big nerd, so yeah, I'm excited to do this.
He's got beautiful gear for us to talk about and oogle over, so I guess we'll just get to it.
Okay.
You want to start guitars?
Let's start with the 335.
Look at that beaut.
This one, it's a 61, and I have all the original stuff, but I got Glazer to put some frets on.
Well, looks good. Yeah.
And then these are the Tone Pros version of the original double ring, single line Kluson tuners.
So they look true to.
They look, but they work much better. They got a lot better tuning ratio, and they don't look like a dead guy's toe like the originals start looking after a while, you know. But it's got the PAFs and
original.
Yeah,
pickups.
Original pickups, and the neck is that kind of slim, early 60s. I kind of I like the late 50s neck too, but this is supposed to be a little bit faster, a little more modern, and I find that my neck, my hand doesn't really cramp up as much with a smaller neck. Yeah.
And are you playing a lot of slide on this guy?
Not much on that guitar. No, that really it's not really set up for slide. Like I can do it in the studio and stuff, but live with the adrenaline going, I like a little higher action.
Higher action, sure. Yeah.
But that's a beautiful guitar. It's made me really, really happy. I got it from Dave Cobb. I even wore my Dave Cobb T-shirt today.
Dave Cobb.
Now that awesome. he got really rewarded last week at the CMAs, because he produced that Chris Stapleton record. So that was a big deal.
Talk the town right now.
Yeah, but I got that from Dave. He did not want to sell it to me. And I talked him into it, and he immediately went and bought another one almost just like it. That's how I know he didn't want to sell it to me. But it belonged to Tom Bukovac before that, just like every other golden era 335 in Nashville at some point. But I love that guitar. That's the first really old, really awesome electric guitar I've had, and yeah, I love it. I love it.
It is beautiful.
And then we have this is a Masterbuilt Fender Custom Shop Tele. It's like a 1960 Tele Custom, but I had them put a black pick guard on it rather than the normal white pick guard, just because I like how that looks. And it's got the twisted Tele neck pickup, which I like a lot because it's got deeper poles, so it gets more whines on there, so it sounds a little brighter than your usual Tele neck, and it gets kind of close to a Strat.
Like Stratty, spanky kind of.
Yeah.
Real
and
cool.
so I wind up using the neck on that more than I do on really any other Tele. And then this is it's the number 12 from the Collector's Choice Gibson series. So it's like a 57 gold top that they went through and I think computer analyzed and put together from an actual example of a 57. So it's got all the same scratches.
I mean, it looks pretty right on, even the checking kind of
It's super close, and I think Tom Murphy did it. Because if you'll look right here, I don't know if we're supposed to tell people this or not, but you see that T and that M?
Yes, sir, I do.
Nowadays, rather than calling them Murphy aged, Gibson will very often say that they were done by the team in the custom shop, but I think Murphy's sneaking his initials in on some of these.
Yeah.
But anyway, I put Ox 4 pickups in it. Mark Stowe in England makes what I consider to be the best PAF replica pickups now that I've heard. So that's what I've put in this thing. And yeah, I mean, I've A-B'd it with some real 57, 58 gold tops, and it's pretty doggone close.
Pretty close, huh?
It's not exactly the same, but it's the best new Les Paul I've played in a long, long time. And then I've got a couple of Duesenbergs.
No, everybody wants to see these.
I love these guitars. This one has really been my #1 electric guitar for a long time. And before I had this one, I had another one just like it, and it was stolen. And I just ordered this one from a guitar shop without playing it or seeing it at all, and it came to me perfect. It was set up perfect. It was just like the one that I'd had before.
And I saw you favoring these live quite a bit, and I gotta ask how you got into such a oddball guitar manufacturer for such a dude playing
It is strange,
music.
but Brad Rice probably got me turned on to these originally. And Brad was playing with Keith Urban for a while, but before that he was in Sunvolt with our keyboard player, Derry. And Brad always played Duesenbergs, and So I got kind of the bug from him. But you know, it's got a single coil in the neck, and it's really bright and nice.
It's
and
a proprietary Duesenberg pickup.
It
isn't
is. They make everything. They send it
They
to
make
you
the
with
knobs.
Duesenberg strings on it. Even, you know, they're Germans.
wild.
You know, crazy Germans.
Does it feel like, you know, like a chambered Les Paul to you, like, or is it something totally its own?
Well, it's, you know, you can see that it's very arched, like the top and
And the bottom.
and the bottom are arched, so it doesn't really feel like another guitar to me.
It's its own thing.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess a 335 would be probably the closest, but yeah, it just gets this real round kind of tone, almost like those Italian pawn shop guitars Buddy Miller plays. You know, those are beautiful. I can't remember what they're called, but it gets that kind of like, you just hear the fact that part of it's hollow, you know, but it's semi-hollow, so you don't get
It's
too much
blocked,
feedback. And I really like the bridge. The bridge floats, so when you're using their version of the Bigsby, the bridge sort of moves back and forth with it and keeps you from kinking the string,
That's
you know.
nice, yeah.
And then they've got, instead of the pole pieces, yeah, they've got a little wrap around it, and you can stick the strings through the open holes instead of having to fit them onto the post like on a Bigsby. So it's a lot easier to change
nice
strings.
improvement.
Yeah, the
And I love
volume
that
pot and the
bar
tone
stays
pot.
nice and put in.
It stays put, and you can loosen it or tighten it there with an Allen
With an
wrench.
Allen wrench. And do you feel like, is this a guitar you have to have intonated a lot because of the floating bridge, or does it
Not
stay
really.
pretty true?
It stays pretty good. Yeah, we had a new fret job done at Glazer's also, and it's been a little bit strange to settle in since then, you know. But
Take some playing maybe.
yeah, just take some play, adjust and play and adjust and play and adjust. But I just love these guitars. I like the way they look, and I like the way they sound. And
yeah.
you know, they're not really too awful expensive for what they are. I've got another one here.
And this one looks like it has a little bit longer scale.
Yeah, this is
neck.
a longer scale, and it's a bigger guitar. This was the first one of these that they made in black.
Way cool.
And this is their Fullerton Elite. It's got essentially the same layout. You know, it's got the single coil, but this one's actually split.
Huh.
You know, and then the humbucker here, and it's thin, it's super thin. It's thinner than the 335 by quite a bit.
Way thinner.
Yeah, this sounds different from any other electric guitar I've played. It's really bright and doesn't have a whole lot of mid-range. I guess it's kind of a scooped tone, you know. And I like that, you know, for certain things. It's really great. Plus, it just looks just Roy Orbison as hell.
I was gonna say, it looks like a Cadillac, man.
It
That
does.
thing is bad.
This is a classy looking guitar.
Really love the inlay. That's something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, the Art Deco thing, they do it really, really well. And the finish is always real clean on these. And I guess they put them on a plec before they send them out, so the setup's identical on pretty much all
of
the
them.
guitars. They're tuning machines, you know, they're
Very
cool.
interesting.
They look nice and they work well, and you string straight through and then clip the string off and then tighten it up. And then they have their own little
Locking.
built-in locking
Very
thing there
cool.
for the strap, so that's pretty neat. And let me put it in there without banging too many things around. This thing's cool. I saw this at Corner Music in Nashville
yeah.
and bought it immediately because it looked like the stupidest idea in the world. But when I got it home, I figured out that it really works. Now I feel bad for Michael when he's changing strings on it, not that we have to change them much, because it's got a biscuit bridge, a Bigsby, and a slotted headstock, which makes it a serious afternoon
It's an
for string
ordeal,
changing.
yeah.
But the Bigsby works really cool.
So they just mounted the Bigsby right onto the plate.
They just put it right on the plate, yeah.
Wow.
Straight on there.
I've never seen that.
And this guy in Colorado he calls it a Dobrato. And let's see here. In Gunnison, Colorado at Castle Creek Guitars.
Castle Creek Guitars.
Yeah, Castle Creek. And he's actually done some work on it. He changed the pickup out for me. He used to have one that had a preamp that you had to go through before you went direct with it. But this one you can just go directly into a DI.
Forgive my ignorance, but what the hell pickup do you put in one of those things?
It's just a biscuit bridge kind of pickup. I don't know if he's developed it himself.
Yeah, it looks like a weird
But
size.
it's kind of circular and it goes underneath that biscuit bridge. And I don't know enough about resonator guitars to know how it works exactly.
And you have it tuned just like a guitar.
No, this one I've got tuned for one specific song. So I've got it in this weird drone. Those three are those are unison. And then that one's a octave. It's
Gotcha.
almost an open D. If we took this one and tuned it up to that major third, it'd be an open D, and then I capo it up.
Are you playing slide on it?
Yeah, I play slide on it, which means I don't
so cool.
really. It sounds great.
Yeah,
I just run it through an amp, you know.
Yeah.
I don't go through a DI with it.
But while you're playing slide, I'm guessing you're not.
I'm not
tracking on
using
that,
the Bigsby a whole lot, no, but I have used it in the studio, and it's really cool for fingerstyle. If you put like some smaller strings on there, and you can use the Bigsby, and it stays in tune pretty well.
Actually, you just brought something up that I'd love to ask before I forget. I love the new record. I think it sounds amazing.
Thank you.
I saw you at the Ryman a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't help but notice how true to the record y'all sound live.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, how much of this is this like? Did you bring your guitar out into the studio and you were like, "This is what I'm using," or was it the producer said, "Hey, try this," or was it?
There's a couple of guitars in the studio that I use that I don't take on the road. Really, the main one of those is a 56 D18 Martin that doesn't have a pickup, and
Sure.
It's kind of beat to hell.
You don't want to bring that on the road,
Yeah,
obviously.
you know, I've thought about it, and there'll probably be a time when I do, but I've got a really good relationship with Martin, so they keep me in good new guitars, and I don't have to take the old ones out. But other than that, you know, we use a lot of the same amps, and we don't use a whole lot of pedals in the studio. You know, one at a time if we have to, but we
Sure.
try to keep that signal as clean as possible. But yeah, with a couple of exceptions, Dave's got an amp. Dave Cobb has an amp that is it's a deluxe, but it's really a Dumble. He just kind of went through it, and it looks like a deluxe, you know. And I've got
the Dumble went through the amp for him?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
very
and I've
cool.
got another one that's similar to that over here that I got from Dave, but that one doesn't travel with us, of course.
Sure.
But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much all these guitars. I use the Duesenberg a lot in the studio. I use that Tele a lot. And this one I used a whole lot on my record, and then we just finished a record with my wife, Amanda, and I used this one a ton.
I actually had a couple questions about
This
one.
guitar actually gets me gigs. Like, people will call specifically for me to play this guitar. But it's designed, Tom Stadler built it, and he's at Carter Vintage in
Great shop,
Nashville.
sure.
Really great shop. And it's based on a couple of Ry Cooder's guitars, but Ry's #1 guitar is really what we were going for. But this is an old Tiesco gold foil that you know, was in kind of a crappy Tiesco guitar.
Yeah,
That Tom saw that guitar come into the shop and took the pickup out and held on to it and had it for about a year, just waiting on somebody to want one of these.
Something
basically.
weird,
Yeah. So you know, you have to keep the whammy bridge on there so you can get the springs. The springs help it kind of sustain and rattle
Sure.
a little bit. And then this is a Lawler version of a Supro lap steel pickup. And he's just recently started making those, and I think they sound as good or better as the actual Supro pickup. Plus, I don't want to deface an old lap steel if it's in decent shape, and it's hard to find the pickups by themselves, you know. So I'm glad that Lawler's doing that. You have to go in and kind of put a little piece of like electrical tape or something to keep the strings from contacting the pickup contactor. You'll hear a really loud bump. And it also makes the bottom three, well, you can flip it and make the top three out of phase, or you can leave it like this and make the bottom three in the middle position.
That is too
So
cool.
if you're using both pickups, these top three are a lot louder than the bottom three. And I thought about having Tom put a cap on it and kind of beef
Match
up
the output level.
But I like it. I can do some really kind of weird noises with it that way. And most of the time I'm in one position or the other anyway.
Yeah, I noticed that you were, when I saw you at the Ryman, you were playing a lot of slide on this guitar. And is that why you went with the lap steel pickup? Does it really sing for that?
It really, really does, man. And you know, I learned a lot about playing slide guitar early on from listening to David Lindley play lap steel. And this is the closest I could get to that. Not to mention the Ry Cooder aspect of it. You know, you can get that really bright, really stinging lap steel tone. And then it's just got a volume and a tone knob. And yeah, he even went and found the kind of tiger striped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I love that
plastic.
the headstock matches the
Yeah.
the pick guard and everything. That is a real cool guitar.
It's a cool guitar. Cooder's seen it, and he thought it was cool, so that made me feel real good.
That's gotta make you feel great.
It made me feel good. Blake Mills plays guitars similar to this that he kind of puts together himself, and he told me to put flat wounds on it, and that made a really big difference, you know, because up until a certain point, electric guitars all had flat wounds on them. And for slide, it really takes a lot of that string noise out And yeah, once you get used to not being able to put your hand right where that pickup is, if you mute with your palm, you have to do it up here in front. Once you get used to that, it's a really great machine for playing slide guitar.
Where do you find yourself muting the most?
I'll
like
go
right
in front,
over top?
yeah. And the thing is, I play slide on my middle finger, so I don't get a lot of behind the slide muting. So I do most of it with my right hand. So up here, I'll usually hold the strings that I'm not playing, or I'll just palm it like that.
Block it a little bit.
Yeah,
but that is too cool, man. That thing is
really cool.
Real neat.
My wife had it made for me for my birthday a couple years back. And
Amanda, if you're watching this, that's a hell of a gift.
Thank you. It's a lot of this stuff she's responsible for. We'll get to more of that in a minute. And then I have some Martins here.
Oh yeah.
This one, these are all relatively new instruments. This is my #1 acoustic, which makes it probably the guitar I play the most during the course of a show. But it's from their authentic 1939 D18 series, and it's hide glue, you know, and the same kind of bracing. And then they have that
Torification? Is that what that is?
I guess, what are the vintage, they got letters for it, the V, vintage tone aging. Do you know what that's called?
Yeah, it's like some scientific process. They measure the molecular structure of the wood or something.
Yeah,
right?
and believe it or not, it works. You know, it sounds better than any new acoustic I've played, and you don't really have to spend much time getting it to open up. Like, I'll take acoustics and put them in front of the stereo and play like hip hop while I'm gone.
Just to get them to breathe a little bit?
Yeah, or I'll leave an EBO sitting on the neck of the guitar.
Let it rattle?
Just let the battery run out.
That's funny.
But this one sounded really, they gave it to me for my birthday last year, and it sounded great right out of the box. And I just use an undersaddle pickup and then Fishman electronics for it, and it really sounds good live. And with the Fishman stuff, I can put a feedback buster in, so I can get a lot of volume.
And it doesn't block the microphone or nothing.
Right, well, I don't use the mic at all. I just use the undersaddle.
Just the undersaddle?
Yeah, and then with that Fishman box, with the Aura Spectrum, I can get the image of a mic. And, you know, I know a lot of people are against the digital stuff, but I can't hear the difference, so I don't care. You know, it sounds great to me. And you can get it really loud, and it doesn't feed back, and you can cut through a band. But it's beautiful. I guess it's probably Addy. Yeah, that looks like kind of a new cut, pretty wide Adirondack on top, and of course the rest of it's mahogany.
Mahogany, yeah, it's beautiful. Real great looking guitar.
Yeah, it's a great guitar. And yeah, I started using these Elliott capos.
Why do you like those? Because you can slide them on and off easy?
Well, they stay in tune really, really well. And yeah, you can loosen them, move them up and down real easy. And the people who make these, it's just the guy and his wife, and you call, one of them answers the phone, and they do whatever you want, like you put my name on there.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. That's so cool.
But I started using these because I saw Dan Tominski using them. Our guitar tech, Michael, has worked with Dan with Allison's band over the years. And so I was like, what kind of capo is that? It looks like a way better capo than I have. And sure enough, it was. They make the Tony Rice model now. And it just really stays in tune great on an acoustic guitar. Plus, it's got the quick release.
Oh, nice.
And if anything goes wrong, they take care of it. You know, it's a small family-owned company, so I like that. Yeah. And then I've got the backup acoustic, which is a HD28 Retro, and it's got built-in electronics, but we're just using an undersaddle.
Yeah, just undersaddle for it.
Just the same way. That's a really beautiful guitar, and it's a little bit different than a new D28. It looks a little aged, and I don't think it has that new vintage tone technology that they have on the other one, but it sounds good. It plays really well. Yeah, it's not, you know, something about a D18. They're so light and they feel like they open up so quickly to me. I just love playing a D18. Yeah. But the 28's a beautiful guitar, and you know, it's got the herringbone.
I love the herringbone stripe. That's
cool. That's classic Martin stuff. It looks so good. But anyway, that, and then I've got a 12-string. This is a D28 12-string, just a brand new. I only play it on 1 or 2 songs a night. Typically, I'm not a huge fan of, like, you know, picked out 12-string guitar, but there's a couple of strummers where I played a high-tuned, like a Nashville tuning acoustic, along with the regular acoustic. So to recreate that live, I kind of have to use a 12-string.
And for people that might not know, and I don't know exactly, but a Nashville strung guitar is where you take the high strings from a 12-string,
tune them up
a whole step. Or a whole octave?
A whole octave,
We got a whole
yeah.
octave, yeah.
Whole octave.
And it sounds real cool.
It does, yeah. And I like the different variations. You know, I know there's like is it Roger McGuinn, the 12-string that's just got. It's not a 12-string. It's just got a doubled G string right there. It's like it's got a G from a 12-string, so it's got 7 strings on it. But
Does it give it a mandolin-y kind of thing?
that one note, that one string just does that. And I've seen Vince Gill play one that had the 2 center strings, the
Doubled,
D and the G doubled like that. So there's a lot of different variations on that high tuning or the 12-string thing, but this does pretty well for recreating that live. You
Sure.
know? And,
It fills out a mix real nicely because it's tones that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on, but you hear and you feel them.
Yeah, it does. And that high-strung guitar, the acoustic works really good when you pan them hard left and right in the studio and mix them together just right.
Yeah, I bet that does sound cool.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, nice little subtle.
Yeah,
bump.
it is. It's not like a big 12-string ballady thing, but it sounds good.
Christmas at your house sounds like a blast, man.
It's a good time. Every day's a good time until you get tired of me playing the guitar all day. Because that's until we had the baby, that's pretty much what I did.
picked,
And now I have to get about an hour out of every
I'm
day.
glad you brought that up. I feel like a lot of people, are very familiar with your songwriting, especially as of late. But man, you gotta see Jason to really see him shred, man. He melts these guitars.
Yeah, thank you.
Good playing, and I think people don't necessarily expect that out of the gate.
Yeah, a lot of songwriters, they don't spend a whole awful lot of time with Van Halen like I did when I was a kid. But I still probably consider myself to be a guitar player foremost.
And then a songwriter?
Yeah, probably so. Now
Yeah.
that's not. I mean, I live in Nashville, so there's a ton of incredible guitar players and good songwriters too. But you can't really make a living just being a good guitar player.
Yeah,
You just can't do it. Even if you show up on time every time,
Yeah.
you need to be able to do other things. So I started writing songs, and that became my career.
Well, it's looking pretty good, man.
It makes it possible for me to buy some cool guitars, and sometimes get given some cool guitars. So
not a bad gig.
So yeah.
Speaking of cool gear, man, let's check out some of these amps.
Let's
over
look
here.
at these amps.
I
All
would
right.
love to walk through these right quick.
So this one came from Dave Cobb, and this is a 64 Fender Pro, the non-reverb with the 115.
115 before they went to the 212.
Yeah, 65 they went to 212 and added a reverb, and this one has also been worked on by Dumble. But it's still essentially a Fender Pro. I think he just went in and took the best examples of a lot of Fender parts that he had from that era and made a cocktail for it. So it's supposed to be as good a Fender Pro as you're going to get before they went to the 212 and reverb.
And so obviously without the reverb, brings you to the little tank.
Putting this blackface tank, like a 65 blackface tank through it, and I went back and found a Jensen 15, like a C15N, I think is what they originally used, and I found one that looked like it had been in like an organ or something, because it had never been played through. It was from '63, but it was brand new. And so my guy at Carter, he put the speaker in there, and he said, you're going to have to play this for 24, 25 hours to get it broken in.
Yeah.
Even though
I'm surprised it didn't just crumble if it had never been played.
Somebody had it in just the right humidity or something. And
what are the chances? That's
yeah,
awesome.
He said it's been screwed into a cabinet, but it doesn't look like a note has ever gone through the speaker. And I got it for like $140 on eBay.
Killer.
So now it's pretty much back to stock, except for the stuff that Dumble did, and I really like it. It's starting to get warmer, the speaker, and of course you get up to 6, 7, 8, and it sounds really good.
Breaking up a little bit, yeah.
It's about 35 watts, so they're pretty loud amps,
Guess so.
But yeah, I run that through the reverb for that, and then I've got this Magnatone. This is their 45 watt head and 212 cabinet, and I guess it's the one they designed with Billy Gibbons.
Right.
I think he had some involvement in that, but it's from the new Magnatone line.
I got a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The pitch shifting vibrato, what's up with that? Is that something that you use on that amp?
I use it. That's really one of the things that I like the most about that amp, because it's you can switch it between that and regular vibrato that handles more volume than pitch, but it's really like a hand-wired plexi. That's kind of the design of that amp and what it sounds like. But it's also got that vibrato that the old Magnatones used to have, which doesn't sound like anything else to me.
It's its own thing, for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
would
there's
agree.
a pretty decent recreation of it on like the Strymon Flint, but it's swirly, and this amp's mono, but they have some that are stereo, like their little stereo Twilighter. that can be real cool.
I bet that is cool.
But it shifts the pitch a little bit. And there's a song called Palmetto Rose on the new record, and I use that amp because of that vibrato. It just gets a real, almost like a Leslie speaker, you know.
It's neat.
Yeah, and I love that amp. My wife got me that for Christmas a few years ago. That is a
Amanda,
loud,
you're killing it.
She's the best. She's the best.
She's awesome. That's
a loud amplifier right there, and I like it to be at least halfway on the master volume. So I run this.
Are pretty high too, huh?
Yeah, I go old school with it and just crank the treble and turn the bass way down on all of my amps.
Just let it.
That just sounds better to me, especially with old PAFs or PAF style pickups. You know.
Sure.
But this one I run this Dr. Z Trainwreck air brake.
Attenuator?
Yeah, you know, I'd rather not, but it's a good example of an attenuator, and it really helps the sound guy's day.
Sure.
And my wife's too, because when she's playing with us, she stands right in front of
herself. Yeah, I was going to say, do you guys have a real loud stage volume, or would you say it's pretty manageable?
No, it's not very loud. Yeah. Like when I was in the Drive-By Truckers, when I was in that band, we had a lot of stage volume.
Oh yeah.
But this band, we're all on ears, and we stay pretty low. And I try not to use plexiglass because it kind of makes things bounce around, makes it sound weird. So I use the attenuator on that, and then this amp, which has been really my number one, it's my primary amplifier. Jimmy Soma, who's in Austin, Texas now, he used to be in New Jersey, but he's in Austin. He built this for me a few years back, and I had one very similar to it before that. But it's real voxy sounding, you know. Really? Master volume bypasses at 10. So it just goes straight through. I like to leave it at that, but it also switches from 20 to 40 watts. So I really keep it on 20 watts most of the time. And it's just a nice, clean amp. You can get a little bit of breakup out of it. You know, it's not going to get metal sounding or anything, but I can get it hot where I can push it with some pedals, and it just reacts.
Good platform for pedals.
It is, yeah.
So are you running, when you're playing electrics, are you switching amps? Are you running them together?
I switch, yeah. I don't use two at any one time.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the way the individual amps sound. So, you know, for a certain tone, a certain song, or a certain solo, I'll switch between.
Got it dialed in. This sounds best with this.
Yeah, I mean that one sounds really good with like, you know, the Les Paul. The Pro sounds great. I cranked the treble on it, and it sounds great on the old PAF neck pickup on a 335, which a lot of people don't use by itself unless you're doing that T-Bone Walker by the bridge stuff. But yeah, they all have just different uses. I don't run them at the same time, and I've got a Variac back there to control the power.
Sure.
But all this rig was put together. Where's Michael at? Michael, you have to come.
Come on, man. This is a real clean setup, and especially once we get to pedals, you guys are gonna love this. But this is Michael.
Michael Bethencourt. We call him Michael back and forth because he has to run the guitars across the stage all night. But he's responsible for designing the rig and setting all this stuff up. So is there anything I've left out?
I mean, really just kind of highlighting the RJM stuff for,
the
switchers.
The effects gizmo. And,
really, really great. And on the mini effect gizmo, which is up top in between the big switcher and the power supply, we're running that for the acoustics.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea.
And they're feeding the RS spectrums, and then we're not running a return. We've got those hardwired into a patch bay in the back, so our audio guys just take XLRs from that. Super easy every day. And then also I'm using it for the amp sends. I run the 3, 4, and 5 channels from that into radial stage bugs, so I have like polarity and ground lift capability, and then it's all kind of wired like via kind of an umbilical loom into the amp rig over here. So
you guys got it dialed in.
It's pretty dialed, yeah.
How often do you change out gear? Are you swapping stuff out and trying new things, or is it like don't fix what ain't broken?
I mean, if I get something that just really blows my mind, we'll switch out. But usually it might be like one pedal per tour I'll change out.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Jason, I know you're controlling all your pedals on stage with the RJM, excuse me. But could you walk us through maybe like the chain or how you're running them?
Sure. I mean, they all, you know, they stay on, and then I've got certain patches that do certain signal chains, and so one sound will be these 3 pedals or these 4 pedals or whatever. But then what I'm using here is, let's see, I've got the slide rig that I use with the Coodercaster. That's Origin Effects, and it's basically 2 1176s, like in sequence. So it's a lot of compression. It's more than, it's an effect.
To give you more like of a steel guitar, like a slide sound?
Yeah,
like
it just gives a ton of sustain. Everything gets huge.
That's cool.
It really, it kind of just puts the pedal to the floor when you're playing slide with that thing. And they've got a smaller one now, I think, that just has one side of it. I think they've got them split up, but this one's got two. And I usually just leave this right side. That's the one that I use. And then from a more transparent, for lack of a better term, I hate it when people say that, but for the compressor that's not really in effect, I use this Analog Man comp. And that's a really, really good sounding compressor. I've been through, a lot of the Keeleys and the Mad Professor. I like both of those a lot, but this one's my favorite.
Why is that?
You don't hear that kind of like suction from the attack,
It's just invisible.
And it just makes everything, you can still get really subtle with your playing, and you can do dynamic things without losing it. Yeah, and you don't hear a lot of the string noise that you might hear from other compressors, and it just sounds natural. It's like everything the Analog Man does. It sounds natural. It sounds like an old school guitar tone. And then this is the Sunlion. Mark Ford gave me this pedal. I guess in about 2005, when he first started making these, he had given Mark some to try out. And this one is number 3. We didn't know until Michael opened it up and started looking around in there, but it's the number 3.
Third one, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's got your Beano boost on one side, and then your fuzz face, or sun face he calls it, on the other side. And it works great because the boost pushes that fuzz to a point where it doesn't get lost in the mix.
Right.
And even great fuzz pedals, to me, will just go away if you're playing with a loud band.
Cranking them, yeah.
But it does that thing that the old tone bender does, where when you kick it in, and let's say you're using a bridge pickup, you roll the volume off about halfway and it gets really sparkly on the top end. To me, that's the test, of a good fuzz pedal. If it doesn't do that, I don't have any use for it.
Clean up real good.
It'll clean up, to a certain extent, but for some reason, it gets really bright and sparkly on the treble stuff. And so I love that. And then just full bore, it's, Hendrixy and
totally.
Great, really cool.
Monophonic craziness.
Yep. And then Nick Greer, I use a lot of his pedals. I switch between a few of those.
He's an Athens, Georgia cat, right?
Athens, Georgia. Really awesome guy. Family business. His wife works there too, and he makes really good pedals. This one is the Lightspeed that I think might be his best.
I've seen a lot of cats playing that pedal.
A lot of people use it, and it'll do something similar to what the Klon does in the boost mode, where you don't get a whole lot of grit and a whole lot of dirt.
It's just like a clean boost, maybe?
It's a clean boost, kind of like the Exotic, that little white RC booster, kind of like that. But it'll also get pretty dirty, if you crank it up. And I keep it for mostly just a clean boost, because some of the pickups that I have, aren't as hot as the others. So I've got the signal chain wired. When I hit that patch, it'll boost it up. Yeah.
But then if you crank it, it gets pretty raunchy, huh?
It'll get pretty dirty on you. And then here, the Fishman,
this is the Aura thing, right?
These are the Aura Spectrum DIs, and I really believe in these because I've spent so much time trying to figure out how to make a great acoustic guitar sound just even like a bad acoustic guitar live. Usually they sound so awful. But this one actually, it has an imaging thing where you can blend it in with the sound of the pickup, so you don't have to go all the way one or the other. And it recreates the distance between the mic and the guitar.
Interesting.
So they have different mics programmed. You can send your own guitar in and they'll make an image of your guitar, but I actually saw Ron Block and Dan Tyminski using those on the Alison Krauss tour and their pedal boards, so I thought, well, I've picked the right thing,
Yeah. I've seen those on almost every acoustic pedal board.
They're everywhere, and they you can crank them up. They've got a built-in compressor that's pretty good, a 3-band EQ, a bunch of different settings.
Now, do you have one set for one guitar and one set? Okay.
Yeah, one for the 12-string and one for the 6-string, because that, for some reason, that 12-string pickup's a little bit hotter and a little bit brighter, so we dial those in. And then here's the mighty Klon Centaur.
Look at that bad boy.
I love that pedal. It's a big old kind of, it looks like a Russian missile silo.
Yeah, it does look like mission control or
something
from
the
the
60s. But it's just got gain, treble, and output. And
do you set it and forget it, or do you dial it?
I change it every day, but the thing is, the knobs are so reactive, just the slightest little bump on those pedals makes a huge difference. It's that way with this amp that Dumble had too. I think all the really good gear is that way. The best stuff that I've found, you know, half a number will really change what it sounds like to your ears.
Wild.
And you know, I use it normally for the clean boost. If I'm in the studio, I'll use all kinds of settings on the thing.
Sure.
But live, it's not really a go pedal. It's more of a boost, and I use it a lot because it warms everything up and has kind of a natural compression to it. And you know, people go back and forth about those pedals. They're not worth what folks are paying for them now. No pedal's worth what people are paying for those now.
Like $3 or something, right?
But they sound maybe 5, maybe 8% better than every other pedal that's trying to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And there's just not one that's gotten to my ears
Close enough, yeah.
all the way there. Yeah. You know, the Soul Food sounds good if you put a good mod on it. The Archer, Rocket Archer sounds good. But nobody's gotten it exactly right. Not even the KTR Klon, the little red Klons that he's making, Finnegan's making now. Just not the same.
Yeah. And I've heard, I don't know if this is true, if you've ever tried to open up the back, but doesn't he put like a black epoxy in there?
Yeah, so he goos them up like Dumble does with his own
Same
amps.
deal with the Dumbles, yeah.
Which, you know, I'm fine with, man. It's those guys are artists, and if you make something that's that awesome,
sure,
you don't want everybody ripping it
it
off.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a patent you know, for this kind of
and
gear.
with enough people trying to rip off Dumble and this Centaurs anyway. I mean, you know,
yeah, I mean, you got companies that are building, you know, they're selling amps for $5,000 or $6,000, and it's just their version of what Dumble did, which $5,000 or $6,000 is a lot less than $90,000, which you pay for an overdrive special. But still, you come up with something, you spend a lot of time on it. You know, you want people to buy your version.
Intellectual property, man.
It is, and it, like I say, it's hard to get a patent these days on any kind of gear like this. But I love the Klon Centaur, and then down here I've got some Strymon pedals. This is, I guess, the digital rack. So yeah, down here I've got the Strymon Flint, and then the Strymon Deco. And the Flint I use normally for the vibrato, which gives me, it's a more traditional Fendery style. And you know, it's got some switches. You can make it sound a little more like the Magnatone, or you can make it sound more photo, you know, where it's choppy if you want to do that kind of thing. And the Deco, I love that pedal because it does a tape echo, you know, just a slap back really well. And I love having a real one of those, but if you bring them on the road, you're going to be working on them.
It's going to be trouble.
Yeah, all the time. So I use that, and then Wampler for my long tape echo, I'll use the faux tape echo Wampler, and then I use their spring reverb also, and I think those are great pedals. They're, you know, we've got a controller up there, like a quartz timer, where I can set the
like tap tempo.
Yeah, I can set the tempo on both of those. And the Pog, which you have to have.
It's a fun pedal, man.
The Pog you have to have. Every rock and roll song I hear on the radio that I like has a Pog or a micro Pog in there somewhere.
What songs are you using the Pog on, just out of curiosity?
It changes. Let's see. On the solo from Flying Over Water, I use it. In the studio, I use the Caroline Wave Cannon, which has this switch that just goes berserk. I mean, it does all kinds of weird,
crazy noises,
glitchy noises that are still melodic. They're still, you know, they're the notes you're playing, but they're jumping octaves, and you can control them with your volume knob and your tone knob, unless you put a compressor in front of it, which then kills whatever filter that is. That pedal's, it's crazy. It's a mystery to me. I love that pedal, but since I kind of have to be able to turn knobs on it, I can't really take it out on the road with me and use it too much. But the Pog does a real good octave. It tracks really well, and it sounds nice and clean.
What's this other Greer over here?
This is the Greer Southland, which works great with humbuckers, and I use it for more grit than the Lightspeed. So that's kind of my go pedal. And that one I can stack with the Klon, and doesn't lose any kind of heft, you know. It keeps its...
It doesn't get so hairy it's out of control?
No. I kind of keep everything set low and then go incrementally with those. And I use my volume knob a lot, you know. I'm a tone knob too. And you know, nowadays a lot of people don't use those. And I don't know, I just...
That old Knopfler trick is cool,
yeah,
man.
It is. There's always a sweet spot. Like if you're playing like that 335 with the PAFs, you know, you use that middle position, there's a lot of different combinations you can get there between those two pickups with 4 knobs. And every night to my ear there's a different sweet spot. So I'm always looking for more of that Dickie Betts tone from Ramblin' Man solo,
Sure.
or the Page tone from what was the blues song where he played all in the middle position, and then Since I've Been Loving You, and then he switched back to the bridge position for the solo. There's just a few like middle position PAF tones that I have in my head that I'm trying to get closer
Chasing,
and closer
yeah.
to, and that's about turning those knobs, you
Yeah.
know, until you get them just right. If you have good caps, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much that, and then we've got
Here it all
the
is. And then you're controlling everything right by your mics set up with a Mastermind. right?
yeah, the RJM Mastermind.
So now we're over here where you control this whole mothership.
That's a bunch of stuff. Michael put all that together and taught me what to step on and when. How does it work, Michael?
Well, we tried to set it up pretty intuitively. We don't, you know, when we started this, we weren't using set lists, so everything just kind of had to be available
Yeah.
at all times.
That's tricky.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, because we don't want it to be, you know, I'm sure Jason would agree, we don't want it to be like, all right, intro, verse,
Right.
chorus.
Right.
you
Well, it's
know?
different on every song too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we wanted to be able to kind of, you know, have everything available all the time. So what we did, we kind of set up a song menu, and instead of songs, we set up songs as guitars. So these are our Les Paul settings. So for each, you know, the presets are on the bottom, and then the 12.
So you know, according to what guitar you have going on, you've
Right.
got the side. That's a pretty smart way of doing that, right there.
It makes great sense to me.
And then all the individual pedals are still controllable as well as amps. So, if
So
he's
I can
playing
turn the
on
fuzz
this,
on with the Paul and turn it back
Right.
off if I want.
and
So
then
is there-
always reset. Like, you know, if we have 3 or 4 different pedals on, we can always go back to one
Just
preset, and it just kind of gets you back to home
That's
base.
your normal tone there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess that's that little quartz pedal you were talking about.
Yeah,
there.
that's by a company, I think they might be in Tasmania. It's called Sela. Tasmania
Wow.
or Australia, something like that, but it's a quartz-based time clock that we've got feeding the Deco and the Wampler Faux Echo, which was actually modded to accept an external tap tempo by the guys at Eastside Music Supply in Nashville.
Very cool.
And yeah, it's all running through a big, gigantic, obnoxious loom, and it hits the back of the pedal, and it's all or it hits the back of the rack, and it's all hardwired in.
And I like the light on the tempo, because once you set it to a different tempo, it lights up until it
So you
gets
can
there.
always see that. Oh, okay.
It takes
all
it a
right.
second to get there, and then it's got a couple of presets. So if I hold it down, what's it on? About 120 or 124 maybe?
153, I think, is our main, and that's for the slapback. It'll show up.
Yeah, 153. So that's for the Deco, right?
So according
Yeah.
to how long you hold it, it'll change the preset.
Well, you got a 1, and if you hit it again, it'll change the preset
Okay,
too.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So just holding it down brings you back to your first preset, and then you can kind of click through.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
And then the Mission pedal controls the vibrato speed on the Magnetone.
in real time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, so you
That's
can do some
pretty
Leslie
neat.
Lee kind of like.
You can, and you can
organ
get just
noises.
a little bit of swirl to it if you want to make it sound more like the David Lindley thing, where he would use a volume pedal and a wah pedal and kind of mix the two together. So if you're playing slide with that, you can put just a little bit of wobble to it.
Dance around to it.
Yeah, or you can just go, full bore on and off. And then there's the little black polytune that stays on all the time.
That's nice and bright and easy to see.
It is, yeah, it is. And yeah, I switch guitars a lot, so Michael does most of the tuning. But every once in a while I'll hear something and, pay attention to it rather than thinking, what are the words to this song?
Very cool.
But this makes my life so much easier because I think maybe if I didn't have to sing every song all night, I could just have a bunch of pedals and I would
dance,
enjoy
yeah.
doing the tap
But if you're
dance.
singing and tuning and
It's so much easier for me to just hit a button, sing a verse, and then if I want to kick the clon in, I hit the clon.
yeah, this over here is a whole lot of variables summed up in one nice little package here.
Yeah.
I guess that works good.
And it is really intuitive. It works well for me, and I can just focus on playing well and singing well, which is kind of what you want, even when you get nerded out like I do. You want to be able to focus on playing the guitar
Sure.
rather than just making it sound different ways.
Right. Well, man, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time. I know we got a lot of fans that are eager to see this rig run down, so
I'm
thank you guys
excited about it. Thanks
very
for
much
having
for
us.
walking us through all this
Appreciate
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, we're over here with Sadler Vaden, a man with a name as cool as some of his gear. He's going to walk us through these guitars and a couple of these amps, right?
Yeah.
Way cool.
We'll start here with the SG. It's a 2005, actually. I got it in Memphis, and Put some Seymour Duncan pickups in it. This is a 59 in the neck and a Pearly Gates.
Mm-hmm.
And
nice
this is kind of my #1 guitar. I love it. It's really good.
Why is that your #1? Is it?
I've always liked SGs, the neck, and this one just has a really good neck and it sounds good.
It's got a big old
and
fat neck. Did you feel like it tips on you at all when you let go of it? Or?
Not too bad. It's pretty lightweight too. Yeah. So, and I play slide on this one a lot.
Very cool.
And right here we have a 72 Les Paul.
Ooh.
That actually isn't, I'm not the owner of this guitar. My friend Andy Dixon has basically given me this guitar just to play.
Permanent loan?
Kind of, just sort of, I'll let you know when I need it back, but yeah.
Good friends to have.
I'm not sure if these are stock pickups or not, but it sounds really good. A lot of reverb. You can get the Neil Young sound going on that one. This is a Tele Custom, Mexi made. And what year is this one? 99? Is that what you said, Michael? 99?
I gotta ask, I've never seen that pickup. Is that like
a... these are Fralin pickups. And
Fralin action, huh?
Yeah, and this is a wide range pickup, not a humbucker.
Yeah, it looks like
Keith
a Pulsar.
actually has a humbucker in his Teles, and some people don't know that, but it's actually a humbucker. And Lindy told me that this was the first one he's wound. Huh. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that's cool. You know, if somebody has the other one, let me know. And this is a split rail that he makes.
Right.
That sounds really good. And it's a little hot too, so that's a cool guitar. Play that one a lot. This is a brand new Strat, American Standard, and Nate White. Yeah, stock custom shop pickups, and Nate White at Fender gave me this guitar, so.
Way cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice gift right there.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And this is a 2007 335 block reissue, and this was Jason's guitar for a while, and I think he needed a couch a year and a half ago, and then he wanted to sell a guitar, so I bought the guitar from him. Cool. And it's got the Duesenberg tremolo that's really sweet.
That's a really cool mod, and see here,
yeah.
They put some wood plugs in there to take out the bridge pins. Mm-hmm. Really nice. Is that stock pickups?
These aren't, I just took the stock pickups out, and Jason actually gave me this set of Aux 4. Oh yeah. Like PAF style pickup.
Do you feel like there's a huge difference in output between a Bucker that would have been in there?
There is a difference, not huge, but it's
slight.
Yeah, it's a noticeable difference.
Because I'm not super familiar with PFs because I've never had one, but it's just a little lower output than a Bucker, right?
Yeah, yeah. The stock pickups were pretty hot. Yeah. So when I would play this guitar, it'd be the loudest guitar.
I bet you'd have some feedback too, being all
hollow. Yeah. And that's what this guitar is used for now. Is to there's a song called "To a Band That I Love" that we don't play much, but I get right in front of the amp and get some feedback going there. And then this is just a Danelectro 12-string. I think the DC-12 or whatever it's called.
And what song are you playing? What songs are you playing that on?
I play this on 24 Frames.
That's cool.
And Relatively Easy, and a song called Streetlights that we rarely play, but it sounds good, you know. So
cool looking guitar.
Fun. Yeah, good fun guitar, and a Jimmy Page, Peter Buck action going on, and that's it for guitars.
Cool
for me.
And then you gotta love to talk about that third power, but let's start with this Vox here.
Yeah, this is brand new. Tom Cusimano at Korg Vox sent that over, and I love the hand-wired amps. And
that's from the hand-wired series. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And we're still breaking this one in. So yesterday we were
brand new,
cranking it all the way up and doing Brian May Queen stuff. And it's got the Alnico Blue speakers in it. And we jumped the channels yesterday, and that gave us a good sound. And yeah, this one's run kind of at a lower volume, but I love the hand-wired amps.
Are you running these two amps together?
I'm running these two amps in stereo. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Way cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So in my left in-ear monitor, I get the nice, sweet Vox thing going on, and yeah. So I got a vibrato and tremolo through a pedal that goes stereo.
Continuing on with the British theme here, this third power is the British Dream.
Yep, the British Dream 112.
Man, Jamie really does a good job with
Yeah.
this British sounds, doesn't he?
Yes, Jamie Scott, Third Power amps. This is, you know, the best amp I've ever owned. You know, and I mean, it's done. You know, I bought this right when I joined Jason's group, and it just is very reliable amp and
Real
sounds
cool.
great. It's the Vox side and a Marshall side, and I have the Orange Glow toggle switch switched
Yeah.
on right now for a little extra dirt.
So I've never had the opportunity to ask Jamie about this, but I've kind of wondered, are the cabs chambered in a certain way? Because I noticed that, like, you know, they have this going on, so I want.
Yeah, that's his design.
Right.
That triangular design.
And so are there speakers behind each?
No.
Or is it just like a
one here.
112?
Yeah, 112. Celestian Gold, and
Yeah, I'm guessing EL34s.
yes,
Yeah.
EL34s, and I'm missing my panel on the back, the triangle panel, so it's open back.
It's open back
all the
right
time.
now. But you can do both for recording
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
that's another thing cool about his amps is he has cabinets where you can. He has like 212 cabinets where you can take one panel off and leave one on, or
Way
both
cool.
off, or both
Mic
on.
them, see the difference. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Way
yeah.
cool.
He's just he's a really smart guy, and yeah. So that's a very
Cool.
good amp.
Well, what do you say we talk about some pedals?
Sure, let's
Cool.
do it.
All right, cool. Now we're over here in pedal world, and you have a little bit of more of a scaled down board, but still got some fun stuff to play with on here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep it simple. First, we'll start with Nike Air Max. These are very important shoes to step on pedals with.
Nice
and
flat
yeah,
surface.
yeah, just kind
maximum
of
contact.
Yeah,
Love
you can
it.
really get in there and move some stuff around. I like a volume pedal just to do swells, simple
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I'm running my tuner through the bypass out of that, right into a Dynacomp,
Classics.
which is, yeah, and this one, I got this off Craigslist. I forget the guy's name, but it had a Ross mod in it already. And so,
What's the Ross mod do?
I don't know.
I mean, I've heard of it before. I just have no idea. Yeah.
This is the only Dynacomp I've ever played through, so, but I like to do slide and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that something you're leaving on all the time, just for
not
a nice
all the
little-
time. Not
just
all
for the slide
time.
stuff,
Yeah.
mostly. Sure.
Yeah, and after that, that's going into a great pedal called a Lightspeed by Greer Amps, Nick Greer in Athens, Georgia, and we love this pedal. And that kind of, I'll show you, that kind of slams the front end, and
Get a little something.
you can get the
Nice gritty.
kind of thing like that. And then that goes into a box of rock, and you know, I can get some big drive sounds going out of that, some boost, that kind of thing. And then this is one of my favorite pedals, is the Analog Man Dual Delay, and that's been with me for a while. Actually, a friend of mine, Blake Olson, gave me this pedal when I had a bunch of gear stolen. So thanks, Blake, for doing that. And he gave me the box of rock too.
What a guy. That's a good fronty.
That's
a good buddy to have right there.
Yeah, that's a good friend. Yeah.
So, question about the Analog Man. Is that the same delay, like two of the same delays in one pedal, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, I have like a long delay set, and then a more of a slap thing. And you can switch between them, which is nice for on the go, and turn it off there.
Very cool.
And then this, I get made fun of a lot for having by Michael, but it's the Blue Line 6 that I love, and I have my slow Leslie, and then fast Leslie, and then the stereo tremolo.
It's a lot of solutions in one box.
Yeah, and then vibrato. So that's a fun box, and I don't have the bank. I just know where my
You've got,
sounds are.
you have 4 presets only, and that's where
Yep.
Yep, and stick
Yep.
with it, huh?
Yep.
Way cool.
And this is just a reverb, because neither of my amps have reverb. And I actually like amps with reverb on them, but I didn't think about it really. So this is a good reverb pedal for those solutions. And then I have a nice long one set for that kind of thing. And then the Vox is coming out of the Blue Sky Strymon for the stereo. And
Beautiful.
yeah,
That's fun,
That's
huh?
nice. And then this is just a third power channel switcher
Way
for
cool.
Vox and Marshall setting.
A lot of sounds in one little board here, man.
Yeah.
Good job. Nice fitting it all in there.
It's fun. It's fun. So that's it.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right, guys, last but not least, we're over here with the man with the plan over here, Jimbo Hart, who's playing bass on this tour. He's a man of many talents, but on this tour, we're playing some Fenders. Look at that.
Tell me about it. This one's a 70, and I got it in Tucson a few years ago. And it used to belong to a fellow named Mongo, apparently, who did a few gigs with Greg Allman on the side. And
pretty cool.
There was a set list in the case and like some photographs and stuff. And this has been my main bass for a long time, and recorded a whole lot of stuff with it. And it's pretty much the only bass that's on the Something More Than Free record.
Really?
And most of the Here We Rest record and lots of other stuff. This is my baby right here.
That's the one, huh?
I love it. I love it.
And so how long has it been with you now?
Shoot, probably 7 years or so.
Lord, it looks like it's been to war.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really love it. It's my baby. It's my number one.
Cool. And so, in case you break a string or something, I'm guessing you have a backup?
Yeah, I do. And I recently got this one from my high school band director. And I used to march with the bass guitar in the marching band when I was in high school. And I actually played this bass in high school during like band camp and stuff.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's a 63 P bass. And he had already refinished it and put this pick guard on it. And he's a huge Rocco Prestia fan, as most of us in the bass playing community should be. If we're not, then we got problems, I guess. But Rocco signed it, and he went and dated it underneath and stuff. And I've been playing it for the past few nights, and I really, really love it. It really kind of takes me back to my high school days, you know.
Well, you're comfortable on that bass, I guess. That's right.
Yeah.
One of the ones you learned on, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And I feel really fortunate to have it come my way, you know, again. And
yeah, that's a cool story.
So, you know,
really.
It's kind of neat. This one means the world to me now. But yeah, those are my guitars. Those are my babies there.
So those are working, and then we're also using this Ashdown.
Yeah, Tom Cusimano, our friend with Korg and Vox and everybody, hooked me up with this rig, and it's the 300 watt CTM British custom shop model. It's pretty awesome. I love it a lot. I've been using a 100 watt one for a while, but this one's just crazy awesome. And
sound good to you?
Yeah, we have the 100 watt back there for a backup in case this one goes down.
And then in addition, is this an attenuator maybe?
No. This is my preamp in DI. It's by Noble.
Noble,
amps.
That's massive.
Yeah, it's really, really massive, man. It's got a couple of 12X7s in it. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, it has this deep switch on it here that changes the center frequency on the bass control from 300 hertz to 20 hertz. And it just makes everything just huge.
I bet.
I mean, it's just really awesome. I love it a lot.
Rattle the walls off.
Yeah,
man.
it's really creamy and buttery, and the high end's really nice on it.
Way cool. Well, that's not too complicated. We'll take a look at, yeah. You know, a lot of bass players aren't running a bunch of pedals, but you got some fun stuff over there. Let's go look at it.
Totally.
Cool.
It's a little complicated, I think, as far as Americana bass goes. It's a little fancy, but it's really not too crazy, really. But I've got, first everything goes into this line selector here, and I select to the white side, and it turns my, I've got now I can tune here, and it's quiet.
It's
muted, yeah. And it's, take it out of the line there, and then the first thing it goes to is actually the Lely switcher here, and on the A loop side is this fuzz and the distortion. And the fuzz, this one here I really love. It's one of Nick Greer's fuzzes. It's a tar pit, but it's a prototype model to the tar pit.
This one here?
Yeah.
Very cool looking.
And it really rules, man. It's really big sounding and brassy, and I only use it a few times in the evening, but it's got a real, like, you know, so it almost sounds like a tuba or something, you know.
That's wild.
You know, I never play it like full on, you know. There's a couple of times, like I think at the end of Decoration Day, I'll do like a
little crispy,
you know, kind of something like that. But I don't use that one very often, but I really, really love it. It's a really great pedal, and Nick's a really sweet guy, and
Great guy.
he's been really awesome to me, and you know, he's a really awesome fellow. But it goes from there to the Walrus Voyager, and I use it for sort of slightly overdriven stuff, you know, just to give it a little bit of hair to it. You know, I use it on Palmetto Rose for the kind of thing. And then from there we go to the Greer Peacemaker. I use it on 24 frames, and I use it with a pick. I wonder if I've got one of my picks here.
And I guess while I'm looking at it, I probably forgot to mention it. Are you running flat wounds on this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, these are Ernie balls, and they're the 45 to 105 stainless flat wounds. And I switched to them a long time ago because basically, with the flat wounds, you have more ability to control the length of the note. You know,
more sustain.
Yes and no. You know, like you can let the note ring all day, or you can kind of stick your fingers in front of it and
just have it mute out a little bit, sure.
Or you can, you know, really mute it, and it makes for.
Sounds almost like a stand-up kind of sound.
Yeah, and it just makes things more fun to articulate. You know, I mean, I don't know. I really love the flat wound. I can't really. I used round wounds for years, but I never could quite get the high end to work right with anybody really, and at some point I just said, let's try the flat wounds, and
it worked, huh?
Yeah, I love them. I don't think I could ever do anything else now. But yeah, I used this Peacemaker for that song, and I use these picks that my buddy Matt McGibney at McGibney Custom makes.
Oh, that is a pick, my
friend. One's mahogany, and this one's.
I don't know if you can see this, but
this one's Brazilian rosewood, and that one's mahogany.
Huh.
And
so wood on a flat wound. Let's hear this.
And they're both different too.
Like you can tell the difference between the two.
Oh yeah, totally. The rosewood one is very, very like pointed sounding and really bright sounding. Yeah, and the mahogany one is a lot mellower, and it's a different weight too. It's a lot lighter, but
yeah, interesting.
So they have different kind of things that they do, and yeah,
well, that's wild. That's
a
cool.
big part of the thing. Really, is just these picks and you know which one to use at what time. You know, it's a lot of fun.
And there's, I guess, just. The last pedal in here is the Janus?
Yeah, the Janus. It's a lot of fun.
Now, are you moving these levers with your feet while you're playing, or what?
Yeah, I don't really use the fuzz side because the nature of the pedal is sort of unpredictable where you start from because of the controllers. But I do use the tremolo side a few times during the evening, and basically I'll hit a note and like speed it up and then bring it back down.
Cool.
And then turn it back off.
Give you a Leslie kind of vibe almost.
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Have you ever had trouble with like kicking these knobs off, or
no?
Have you had to replace that at all?
No, but I find that it works really good at the 12 o'clock setting, and if it's any lower or higher, it doesn't do good for me. So I have to tape it down there for the 12 o'clock setting.
Just set it, forget it, leave it.
Yeah, totally. Well, and then everything at the end goes through the octave pedal, and
oh, okay, yeah,
I use it a couple of times, but it doesn't see a whole lot of action in the evening.
What are you doing with the super octave? Is it just for certain songs?
Yeah, for certain songs. We use it on Speed Trap Town, and I go through the Peacemaker, and then into the octave, and roll the treble back just a little bit, and it gets a real like, you know, sort of synthy. And it actually does that during the song. That little break
like 8-bit almost.
Yeah, it happens while everybody's playing, and it's sort of like, I don't think anybody really notices it or not. It's sort of in time. It works in time with it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun, that one.
Wow.
But,
well, you're doing some fun stuff with bass and pedals.
Yeah. It's Jason's been kind enough to let me mess around with it a bit over the time, and I have a whole lot more, but I broke it down to this one board because
well, it's not too hard.
I didn't need too much.
Yeah, if I had access to just any pedal I wanted, I'd probably never be able to leave my house. It's good to be able to pick them out. But hey, man, we really appreciate you taking the time to let us come here and walk us through all these pedals.
Thank you for letting me hang out with you guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Stick around for other rig rundowns, review demos, and all that fun stuff. Catch you later.
Cheers.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.